What's up, basketball mayhem enthusiasts? Welcome back to the channel for a dose of pure, unadulterated NBA chaos. Forget the highlight reel dunks and the game-winning shots. Because today we're talking about something far more dramatic. An absolute Donnybrook between the Detroit Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves that escalated so quickly. It spilled right into the stands. We're breaking down this wild melee. The 7 players and coaches who got ejected. And what the potential fallout could be from the league office. Trust me, you have to see this to believe it. It wasn't quite the malice in the palace levels of pandemonium. But what went down on Sunday between the Detroit Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Target Center in Minneapolis was certainly a throwback to the days of intense NBA rivalries boiling over. A seemingly routine foul quickly turned into an all-out fracas that involved players, coaches, and even spilled into the baseline seats behind the Pistons basket. The result? A staggering 7 ejections and a whole lot of questions about what comes next. The incident erupted with just 8:36 remaining in the second quarter. The Pistons were actually holding a 39-29 lead at the time. But what happened next completely overshadowed the game itself. The catalyst for the chaos was a foul committed by Detroit's rookie forward, Ron Holland, on Minnesota's Naz Reid as Reid attempted a layup. Now, fouls happen all the time in basketball. But this one was followed by an immediate reaction from Reid. He had some words for Holland and pointed directly towards his face. Clearly unhappy with the contact. That's when things started to escalate. Reid's teammate, Donte DiVincenzo, who was nearby, quickly stepped in between the two players as they began to approach each other. DiVincenzo initially seemed to be playing the role of peacemaker, trying to defuse the situation. However, things took a turn when DiVincenzo put his hands on Holland's torso. Holland didn't take kindly to this and responded by shoving DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo then retaliated with a hard shove of his own. And suddenly, the temperature in the Target Center went from lukewarm to boiling hot. Holland, despite the exchange with DiVincenzo, continued to stare down Naz Reid, seemingly wanting to continue their initial confrontation. That's when DiVincenzo, perhaps feeling the need to protect his teammate or simply caught up in the moment, grabbed Holland by his shoulders and wrestled him towards the ground. And just like that, all hell broke loose. As soon as Holland went down, multiple players and coaches from both teams rushed to the scene. What started as a one-on-one confrontation quickly morphed into a full-blown melee involving a large number of individuals. The video footage shows a chaotic scene of pushing, shoving, and bodies flying as the altercation spilled over the sideline and directly into the baseline stands behind the Pistons basket. Some players, like Minnesota's veteran center Rudy Gobert, appeared to be trying to play the role of peacemaker, attempting to pull players off the pile and restore some semblance of order. However, the intensity of the moment made it difficult to de-escalate the situation quickly. One particularly dramatic moment captured on video showed Donte DiVincenzo ending up back down into the second row of the stands, with Pistons forward Stewart on top of him. Fans in the immediate vicinity could be seen holding out their arms, seemingly bracing themselves for the impact of the players falling into the crowd. It was a truly surreal and potentially dangerous situation. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, calm was finally restored as the players and coaches involved were pulled apart. The referees and security personnel worked to separate the two teams and try to make sense of the chaotic scene that had just unfolded. After a lengthy review, the officials handed out a significant number of ejections. In total, 7 individuals were ejected from the game. For the Detroit Pistons, those ejected were rookie forward Ron Holland, forward Stewart, and guard Marcus Sasser. The Timberwolves saw guard Donte DiVincenzo and forward Naz Reid get the boot. But the ejections weren't limited to just players. Both teams also lost a key member of their coaching staffs, as Pistons head coach Bickerstaff and Timberwolves assistant coach Prigioni were also ejected from the contest. After the game, Pistons head coach Bickerstaff was clearly still fired up about the incident, specifically calling out Timberwolves assistant coach Prigioni. While it's unclear exactly what Prigioni said that set Bickerstaff off, the Pistons coach made it clear that he was defending his players. "We're going to defend each other," Bickerstaff said. "I'm not going to let people say belligerent things about my guys. And it's that simple." In that moment, I understand the ref's position. But you just can't say anything to people or about people and expect it to be okay. This suggests that there might have been some verbal exchanges between the benches that further fueled the physical altercation. with 3 Pistons players and 2 Timberwolves players ejected. Both teams had to adjust their rotations significantly for the remainder of the game. Despite the early lead, the Pistons were down 3 key players, and the Timberwolves were without 2 important contributors. From that point forward, Minnesota outscored Detroit by a significant margin, ultimately rallying for a 123-104 victory. The official box score also revealed that the Pistons were issued 4 technical fouls as a result of the incident, while the Timberwolves were assessed 3. This resulted in a technical free throw for the Timberwolves, which Mike Conley hit, and 2 free throws for the Pistons, which Luka Garza hit after Naz Reid was ejected for the initial foul that sparked the whole thing. With the better part of 3 quarters left to play after the melee, the game eventually continued, but the focus was undoubtedly on the wild scenes that had unfolded in the second quarter. And this certainly isn't the last we'll hear of this incident. The NBA office is almost certain to review the video footage and the officials' reports, and significant suspensions and fines are widely expected to be handed down to the players and coaches involved. The league has a strong stance against on-court altercations, especially those that spill into the stands, and they will likely want to send a clear message that this type of behavior is unacceptable. What are your thoughts on this crazy brawl between the Pistons and Timberwolves? Who do you think was most at fault? And what kind of suspensions and fines do you expect the NBA to hand out? Let us know your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more NBA news and analysis, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on the fallout from this wild incident. We'll catch you in the next one.
Get ready for a wild ride at Target Center. This isn't your average NBA brawl. It's a full-blown melee that spilled into the stands. On Sunday, with just 8:36 left in the second quarter, things went off the rails between the Detroit Pistons and Minnesota Timberwolves. It all started when Pistons' Ron Holland fouled Timberwolves' Naz Reid during a layup attempt. Reid wasn't having it and immediately fired back, pointing straight at Holland's face. Before anyone could calm the storm, Reid's teammate Donte DiVincenzo stepped in between the two, only to escalate the situation. DiVincenzo put his hands on Holland's torso, and the two traded some hard shoves. Holland, not backing down, continued to glare at Reid, and DiVincenzo then grabbed Holland by the shoulders and wrestled him to the ground. And that's when chaos erupted. What followed was a scene straight out of an action movie. Players and coaches from both teams stormed into the fray. The melee even spilled into the baseline stands behind the Pistons' basket. Fans in the immediate area braced themselves as bodies collided. Even Minnesota's Rudy Gobert tried to pull players apart from the pile. At one point, DiVincenzo found himself on the stands again with Pistons forward Isaiah Stewart on top of him, an image that left everyone on edge. Calm eventually returned as officials pulled everyone from the chaos, but not before 7 ejections were handed out. Among those tossed out were Pistons head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, Timberwolves assistant Pablo Prigioni, and players including Reid, DiVincenzo, Stewart, Holland, and Pistons guard Marcus Sasser. After the game, Bickerstaff had harsh words for Prigioni, emphasizing that his team would always defend each other against any disrespect. Detroit had a 39-29 lead when the fight broke out, but with the Pistons down 3 players and the Timberwolves down 2, Minnesota surged ahead, outscoring Detroit by 29 points to rally for a 123-104 win. With multiple technical fouls and an impending wave of suspensions and fines from the NBA office, this melee is far from over. Stay tuned. This saga is just heating up.